Hey everybody, welcome to another update of the Plastic Weekly Canadian Bouldering Rankings for January 15th. A lot of new stuff in this week. Three different comps happened this weekend. There's the triple header in BC, Blockbuster in Ontario, and an ACA local at the Calgary Climbing Center in Alberta. I also added in some results from early last year, thanks to Caleb Thomas, who pointed out some that I hadn't been able to find when I originally put this together. So thanks to him for supplying results from the BC Provincials 2017. That happened in February of last year. So those results are not very relevant anymore. They're worth very little, but it's still really nice to have them. And we actually get to talk about them a little bit today. Not too much has changed dramatically in the ranks. You've seen some people shuffle around, but there is one new entry to the top 20, and that's Tiffany Melius. She comes up 4 places into 19th. This is Tiffany here. She's an Australian national. She's been living in Canada for over 10 years now. She's actually the Oceania Continental Bouldering Champion after that event this past fall. So she's strong. She's represented Australia plenty of times, and we're glad to have her in the country. Her results are mostly, or her rank at least, is built mostly off of an 8th place finish at CEC Nationals last year. And then also, and now it's been bolstered by her 1st place finish this past weekend at the triple header in BC. The triple header was an Olympic combined format event of bouldering, difficulty, and speed. So I was debating whether or not to include that stuff in these ranks because it is a bouldering ranking. Because it's in beta and because I feel it's better to use more information than less, I decided to use the bouldering qualifier results. I didn't go beyond that because then it would kind of be cross-contaminated with lead, her difficulty, and speed, which are obviously lesser disciplines. So I did include those. She came first in that event. Not a super strong field. The closest competitors, not even in the top 20, but the closest would be Christy Spurl and Lola Rabinovich and Chloe Earle, who are kind of hovering a bit below the top 20. So not a huge field, but still a worthwhile event. And props to the organizers who put together a format like that. That's effectively a local. That's a huge deal. So other than that, I don't want to talk too much about the ranks because they haven't changed too much. It's a lot of the same names. But some people have been asking like what these results or what these ranks mean now that they're starting to see them for the first time. And a lot of people have noticed some things about them. They may be Sean McCall fans, or they may be Yanni Zoraj fans. They've been wondering why these athletes aren't ranked higher. When I put this thing together, it was unclear what was going to come out of it. But the clear restrictions I put on it were, first of all, that it would only pay attention to results that are 365 days old or less. So after an event has been a year old, it's no longer relevant. And those results decrease in relevance over time. So they're worth a lot at the start, and then they become less and less relevant as time goes by. And the other thing is that this ranking relies on you actually showing up for competitions. So Sean McCall, as a good example, has had like decent or good results in general when he's competed against other Canadians, and this does only measure against other Canadians. But he hasn't shown up as much as somebody like Seb Lazur, who has also had really good results against other Canadians, especially for somebody like Yanni Zoraj, who has shown really good results, but she's rarely actually competed in the last 365 days, at least in competitions that I measure. And since we're kind of on the topic of Yanni, Tiffany, Florent, I did decide to include results for Canadian residents. So even if you're not a citizen, because you're here so often, I decided it might be worthwhile to include you. If I end up feeling like we should take those out, then sure. But because they live here and because they show up so much, I think it's reasonable to keep Canadian residents in these results since they're so frequently competitors in our field. So other than that, if you have any questions about how the system works, keep sending them. But for the most part, just treat it as a second set of eyes or another different lens to look at the field through. I certainly don't claim for it to be, anything that you can tell a fortune or anything that you want to place a bet based off of. It's just an aggregate way of looking at how other Canadians are performing against each other. And of course, that's all through the caveat that a lot of Canadians don't compete against each other based on just geography. A lot of BC climbers won't see other Quebec climbers except maybe once a year at nationals. And so, where that would normally be a pretty big guess as to who could win, this tries to make up for that based on the results in their local areas. So don't put more credence in it than you should. Don't don't assume I'm treating it like some godlike algorithm. It's in beta. It's just a fun thing for me to do. I love following this kind of stuff in sports and politics, whatever. I like, playing with the numbers. So enjoy it for what it is. It might change in the future, but for now, it's just kind of a really good aggregate, abstract look at the most successful climbers in Canada. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys next week. In 2 weeks, I'll be going live with the Ontario Open finals. That's the Ontario Open National Bouldering Series event. I hope you guys will watch. It'll be on YouTube. I'll start putting links up for that soon. And then after that, we're really just waiting for the Alberta Open National Series event. And once we have that, we can really start talking about predictions for nationals, which is kind of what this is all about. So hopefully I'll see you on those comps, but otherwise I'll be back on Monday for another rank update. Thanks for watching.